89. And our entertainment radio is 89.9. It's called Metro. Several other community radio stations across Liberia relay this program along with 9 others that belong to ELBC Radio. This is the biggest show that covers the entire country in the afternoon. My name is Jallah Grayfield. The nation's having the J. Remember Jallah Grayfield chapter 1 verse 1. Let's talk and talk and talk and never shall we fight. Fighting shall never be our portion. As you be aware, President George Weah yesterday spoke at the African Leaders Summit in America. The president is but now having some silent meetings with other people. Decision makers in the world, in America as well. And I'm also told that Claude Marie Weah, the first lady of Liberia, is expected to speak somewhere again today in America. And there are other officials of government on the president delegation that are making presentations and meeting other people in the effort to strengthen our democracy and bring some relief to our people in Liberia. We took up time yesterday to bring you the speech of the president and analyze what he said yesterday. Bagugbe returns to the country on 2018. This is the lineup for the program this afternoon. We talk education and we talk transparency. 5 o'clock, the head of Letty, the head of secretary of Letty, Jeff Yates. Jeffrey Yates will join me at 5 o'clock to talk on the issue of transparency and plans they have as the years goes ahead. Almost to a close, rather. What is Letty thinking about for 2023? How are they monitoring the extractive industries? Is the industry bringing some relief to the people from whom those resources have been mined or extracted from? Jeffrey Yates will sit right here and talk to me on the flip of 5 o'clock. Then at 4 o'clock, over this time, on the flip side, we'll talk education. President Ellen Johnson suddenly described our education system as a mess. But how is it turning to best down? The institution, the National Commission on Higher Education, has begun licensing major institutions in this country to grant degrees in many disciplines. One of them is the Salvation Army Polytechnic that has been granted now a degree. A granting institution. Dr. Yuri Yuri will join me as soon as he comes. He tells me that the traffic is very crazy along the way. He's just around LBS compound. We'll talk education. The National Commission on Higher Education has started accrediting a lot of institutions. Many of them are being accredited. And I said to you, one of them is that institution, the Salvation Army Polytechnic, now a 4-degree granting institution. We shall talk about that. Dr. Yuri has just walked into the studio. On the flip side of 5 o'clock, I said to you, Jeffrey Yates, the head of Letty Secretariat, will join me as we discuss issues of transparency in the extractive industry. My name is Jallah Grayfield. You can afford to go away this afternoon. As we pause right here and go to Anthony Williams, the man who will pray for us in the grip of vernacular. He says he's ready to pray for us. Which Bible put him in? Okay. That's the format of our program, Mike 3. So Anthony Williams will pray for us. Okay, go ahead, Anthony. You're live.
Thank you, Jallah. I'll do this quick.
Okay.
So I'm praying Grebo, Coastal Grebo.
Okay.
Wekwa nyeswa ayana wia mondo amuya nyina mo hia mo hono. Abise menke abrofo iri. Abise menke abo nyi para iri. A president ayana wia mo pa akwa bli. Oko nyo he. No mo. Da mo num ponune. Emi tenu ke apepe mo. Amen.
I said to you, one of the most difficult things to do is to pray in your vernacular. That's why when I'm praying the Pele vernacular, and it's very difficult. You speak a Pele very fluently, but the praying the vernacular is very difficult. So when I'm doing it, he's laughing at me, but again, he comes. Let's go to PCK as he starts the program. PCKs, yeah? PCK Records. It's a pleasure. Oh, Papa, turning at the God to go, turning at the guy yoga, to turning at the guy bro. In the makeup, bagay to gala, abaya to makeup, bagay to gala, abaya to makeup of me. Illuman, gawala, you gonna go, if you give my I love to GP. Nega baga, ananga kalebo, the kalebo the kapabaga. You to make me, you to make up on me. Babena wala, you to make up on me, you to make up on me. Oh yes, PCK is asking God to protect the leaders of Bon County. He asked God to protect the president of Liberia, the vice president, Iswakoko Mayo Joe Howard Taylor, the pro tem of the Liberian Senate, Abachi, the speaker, both achievements and all Liberians in all the nooks and crannies of this country. I love my country. I love my country. I love my people. I love Liberia. My people. Father, save us for this pandemic. It is on ELBC Radio. 99.9 and other frequencies across the country. 89.9 is our relay station, is our minister station called Metro. 9 other radio stations belonging to ELBC also relay this program in the counties, while several others community radio stations across the entire country also relay this program. Welcome to the Bumper Show. It is on ELBC Radio. As I said to you, remember Jallah Grayfield chapter 1 verse 1. Let's talk and talk and talk and never shall we fight. Fighting shall never be our portion. As I said to you, welcome to the show. My uncle S. Lauren Bobo and the rest of Foya District are now listening. They all listen via Radio King Toma and that of Radio DMP Law. And when you go to Kolahu area, Radio Halingi and several other stations, we are trying to partner with Dengola in Vanjama as well. That will be relaying the Bumper Show right here from the Central Studio. As I said to you, when Madam Sally was in power, there were so many reform processes that came on as it relates to the educational process. She described education at the time as a mess. But what did she do at the time to turn the mess into best? The Institute of Higher Education is the one accredited to lesson higher institutions. And one of those higher institutions is the Salvation Army Polytechnic. Just recently I was told that Omongru was here. He comes from Nima County. He is the president of the Nima University. It was called the Nima Community College. He has been given a full degree granting power, and now they are running so many programs that will enhance the forward movement of our students. As I said to you, I have with me Dr. Yabawuro Yure. Welcome to the Bumper Show.
Thank you very much, Jallah, and thank you to ELBC and the work you do for Liberia. I'm actually impressed. Coming up in the studio, I was asking the person who escorted me when this place got transformed. I think it looked like a state radio. I don't think we're quite there here, but we're going quite far with it now, and I'm quite happy with the development I just saw. Just walking to in fact, I went to the old building because, you know, I started the Land is Life program. I used to be on a radio program.
Okay.
It's run by Sonkole now. Back then in 2018, we used to go to the other building.
Yeah,
I actually
the
went
one
up.
studio.
Yeah, I actually went up there. I was told, no, the studio is not here. It's in the other building. And
Yeah.
it's impressive here. So thank you, man.
In the old building you see there, it is called Metro now. It has been transformed the same way, and there is a music station. A lot of transformation has taken place here.
Wonderful.
Under the leadership of Estelle Liberty Kemu, formerly the Director General here, Lecturer Rennie, who is a board chair. They all have hands in the work we do here.
Excellent. Transformation here. So I'm very happy, and I want to say congratulations and thank you to the leadership here for transforming this place as I see it now.
Thank you, Dad. So, welcome. Will you just introduce yourself properly and as we commence the conversation?
Yes, so my name is Dr. Emmanuel Ure Yapaulo. I hail from Bond County. I was very old when I started school. I was like 2.5 years old when my mother passed away. My father had no education at all. I lived in the village, set tribe, and did everything that villagers do. It was my first time to go to school in 1995 when we started.
1995 or 1985?
1995. So I
Ah,
born 1981. I first started school in 1995 in the
wow.
Beta refugee camp when I was almost 14 years old.
1995?
For the first time, I started to learn how to read and write, how to speak English. For the first time, I was so old, I sat down in kindergarten. I didn't sit in ABC. Anyway, fast forward in 2005, I graduated from the Limela High School. I was a student council president. I was the valedictorian. After that, I went to Cuttington. I spent 3 years in Cuttington instead of 4 because I could go as far as 21, 22 credits in
Wow.
terms of my GPA and the rest of it. So I graduated 2008. Then 2011, I graduated with master's in public health here in Liberia. Then I was awarded a scholarship. I went to the U.S. I did a second master's degree and graduated in 2013.
Okay.
The university, through a professorship, Grant Mittman, offered me scholarship to pursue my PhD. So I started pursuing my PhD in 2018. I graduated with a Doctor of Philosophy, Environmental Science in the field of political ecology, focusing on what causes poverty and what we can do about poverty. That's kind of field I specialize in. That's the reason why when I returned to Liberia in 2010, we have started working on a research to inform the land right law development. So I came and worked with civil society and the government. We were able to pass a law that grant land right, taking away land right from the government and giving it to the indigenous people, the tribal people, or the country people, any other name you want to call them, but to the real Liberians, in terms of those who have inhabited the land for a very long time. So that's it. And in the same 2018, the Salvation Army was granted, the Polytechnic was granted status to offer associate degree. My interaction with the school first, I grew up in the Salvation Army system.
You graduated from there already, though.
Yes, yes, I
So
graduated
you
from.
came back to offer your services.
Of course, and I grew up basically in the Salvation Army. Part of my high school from 8th grade all the way to 12th grade, and my BSc and my first master's degree all sponsored by the Salvation Army. In 2010, the Salvation Army has established a number of high schools around Liberia. The Limela High School, we're just talking about the Willambo High School. These are big high schools in Monrovia in terms of performance in the WAT exams. Today it's headed by Honorable David S. Massaquoi, who is doing quite well with that institution. But a number of other high schools and primary and elementary schools around the country. There was a need to be able to establish a college primarily to focus on teachers' education. So at the time, the British that were heading the church in Liberia, they got some money and they bought the land opposite City Hall, adjacent the UN building, bought that whole place and constructed 3-story building with another 2-story building behind it for that purpose.
Okay.
As time went back, things changed a bit. So in 2009, the school started a vocational program over there, a professional program. I started with the school as a warehouse manager. My first job in the school was to take care of the tools. I did that clearly, but then a few months later, the proprietor at the time, consider Wisa today now, asked me to be his special assistant based upon my performance. And so 2010, we started the development of a curriculum that will promote the institution to associate degree status. Then later I left and started working with the government, and then I went to the state for further study. When I came back, the accreditation had been granted late 2017 to establish, to start offering associate degree programs. And so we took over so since then, we have run the program successfully, put up 3 graduation programs successfully. Over 96% of our graduates are employed based upon the internship program we have established there. But we also noticed that a lot of our graduates were coming back asking for the degree. Many of them wanted to pursue bachelor degrees, and also because we are centrally located in Central Monrovia, a lot of the colleges there they offer also bachelor degrees. So we are not competing as we should, even though we done quite well with the school. So about 2.5 years ago, we started on the process of accreditation for 4 bachelor degree granting institutions. The National Commission on Higher Education, headed by today Professor Wonkoya, they have a very strict processes and one has to follow. And so for the last 2.5 years, we have worked with them. And then early November, the accreditation came, and we are now offering bachelor degree, associate degree, as well as vocational programs at the
Okay.
Salvation Army Polytechnic.
Now, your introduction mesmerized me a lot. Man who attended school from 1995 now obtained a doctorate degree after earning 2 other master degrees.
I-
What gave you the motivation? I want to come back to your bid, and we'll go to the substantive issue about the granting of lessons to the Salvation Army Polytechnic to operate as a 4 degree granting institution.
So I think, and I speak around the world. I've been to Germany, different parts of the world, to speak to young people, just to motivate them in terms of how they can transition. I think from early on, I was determined to go to school. I remember clearly in 1989, asking my father I wanted to go to school. He told me because our village in Gomu did not have any.
You from Gomu?
I'm from Gomu. Gomu is Shampala. That's in Pakule clan, right? I remember clearly Uma telling me that about 1990 he was going to carry me to Jawa to stay with his friend to go to school.
Okay.
And of course, 1989 the war started,
War came.
and then the war destroyed the whole thing. And we went to Guinea. There are a lot of stories to this issue. We went to Guinea. I still said I wanted to go to school. And then he sent me to my sister Gopo, in the Yomu refugee camp to stay there. Gopo and her husband, the late Gopo and her husband, Jaro Gote at the time, they wanted to send me to French school because it seemed to be that the war was not going to end in Liberia. In preparation of that, Sister Gopo, may her soul rest in peace, got ill in about 2 weeks and died and passed away. So I was left with no hope again, and I returned to the Beta refugee camp, and where I stayed, say I wanted to go to school. My father said, "You're too old now to go to school, so let me send you to do a trade." He actually sent me to a blacksmith shop, and I went to the blacksmith shop. Spent about 3 weeks in the blacksmith shop learning how.
You're
to
knocking those irons.
Yes, I did that, and I left. I said I wanted to go to school. The next thing he said, the war destroyed all my properties. The schools here are free, but when we get back to Liberia, and I told him, God will provide. So in 1995, I started school. I was always determined. I wanted to get a PhD, so I studied very hard. I worked very hard. I lived for different families throughout the process, and I tried to be very disciplined. There were some mistakes along the way. No one is perfect, but I persevere right to the end because I wanted to. Even the PhD, I have come across, at the time of doing my master's degree, I have been introduced to an American professor who had been doing some research on Liberia. And then I met him with this footage taking place in 1926, a 2.5 long footage you could watch of how life looked like in 1926 in Liberia.
Okay.
And I told him, let's transport the material back to Liberia because we can use it to tell story, especially that the war has taken away a lot of our old people. Anyway, I came to Liberia and we started on that work. It was just one of those days we were driving in Liberia, and I have told him over and over how I wanted to pursue a PhD. He said, "You really want to pursue a PhD?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Let's develop a proposal." And we developed a proposal, sent it to the National Science Foundation. It was approved, and money was in that proposal for me to pursue my PhD over 200,000 United States dollars. But anyway, we can't say everything. We are very grateful.
I will
Very
invite
humble.
you another time. I have a program called Face the Nation.
Okay.
I guarantee you that I will give you a very good profiling on that program. But
Excellent.
let's come to the Salvation Army Polytechnic. How did this conversation start
So
about granting your institution a license to operate a 4 degree?
Yes, so we wrote the National Commission on Higher Education expressing our interest in being granted bachelor degree status as a first step. We follow up with a letter, and then the National Commission on Higher Education gave us the criteria to follow. I think the process is very long. You know, you need to have qualified instructors. You need to have a well-defined curriculum. You need to have a catalog. You have to have all the policy in place that will set you up for success. You got to prove that you have the finances to be able to do this. So we worked through with everybody in there. And one thing, the National Commission on Higher Education, we did pay the fee, everything associated, 5,000, the rest of it, but they were always willing to help. Reverend Lavla is up there, he was always willing to help. Mr. Kessley is always willing to help, as well as the new director, even that took over. Yeah, Wonkanya also was willing to help. So they didn't really step on us, but they say, hey, you got to meet the criteria, no matter what. So they work with us. At some point, they even assign somebody to advise us as to how to go about it. And we follow all the processes, and we are very happy to say that we are accredited. And I would like to emphasize some of the transformation we carry at the associate level, because when we defend our institution to be granted bachelor degree status before Professor Anthony and the rest of the board, we got to appear before the board of the commission to defend our application. And one question he asked was, you were granted associate degree status. What have you done with this up to this point before you are now asking for bachelor degree status? And we defended that, and he was convinced, and all those that were there, they were convinced. Let's start with corruption, Jallah. How do you fight corruption within an education institution like ours? What do you do so that students are not bribing teachers and teachers are not taking bribery? It's a fundamental question. When we took over the institution, we thought to highlight that as a beginning, because we wanted our institution to be set apart. In fact, we coined the motto of the school, education with integrity. So everything we do is centered around education and the integrity associated with our education, to be for one to serve his family diligently, to serve the community, and to serve the society as a whole. So thinking about our education with integrity motto, we started to think, how do we implement it? And the first thing we have to do is to fight corruption. So one thing that we discovered also is that if you give an opportunity for people to report what are corruption or anything that they're not satisfied with, that information is not coming back to haunt them. They can report anonymously. You get a lot of information. So this idea popped out in the way that you see when you go to the bank, you see suggestion boxes. We took that idea one further, so that we established two different boxes. One we call grievance box, the other one we call innovation box. Okay. So we carry on a lot of awareness on the campus. If you see something, say something. If anybody is doing anything you're not satisfied with, call out a grievance, write it and put it in the grievance box. You don't have to write your name on it. We are only interested in the information. If anything you want, how you want us to improve the campus, call that innovation, put it in the innovation box. Those two boxes locked there on the campus today. Told my secretary, every Friday, go and look in the boxes. Everything you see, bring it to me. Over the weekend, I will reorder them one by one. By Monday, we develop a spreadsheet database. You will catalog them. We'll be following them one by one. We created a lot of publicity around this. We conducted a lot of workshops with our teachers to bring them to buy what we mean by education with integrity. However, some instructors, they are very high-headed. They were given assignment and asking students to put like $500 in envelope to return the assignment. Otherwise, they will fail the course. Okay. They were very brave to do that.
And you discovered that?
We discovered that because 3 students wrote 3 letters, separate letters, very passionate. Because we have talked to the students, we have carried on a lot of orientation as to...
And they named those teachers?
They named the teachers. And I took it and gave it to the vice president, Dr. Pa Suku, who has 2 PhDs, and he is also a security expert. So from the U.S. So we gave it to him to investigate, and he investigated and presented the findings to all the instructors who were guilty. And so any action, he said, Mr. President, is on your desk. Any action you want to take. I said, I don't have any other action but to fire them. So I got a report.
You fired them?
I got a report on Friday. By Monday, they were dismissed. They were dismissed.
But what year are you talking about?
This is the latter part of 2018.
Okay.
All right.
At the time, you were saying having this vocational schools.
No. 2018, we are now at associate degree program.
Associate degree. Okay.
Vocational started in 2009,
Okay.
2008.
Okay.
And I started as a warehouse manager in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
But by 2018, I have come with a PhD.
And then
now
you got a
serving
new
as
portfolio.
president. Yeah, I'm serving as president,
Okay.
and we are implementing the associate degree programs. And we're trying to carry on transformation within that associate degree program.
So, why it was a Salvation Army Polytechnic?